Hello, Michael here, looking at Psalms 87 for our devotion. This psalm may be subtitled, Glorious Things of You Are Spoken. And we're going to be focusing on verse 1 to 3 for our exposition. Let's go ahead and read those three verses. Verse 1. His foundation is in the holy mountains. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. And verse 3. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God, Selah. And as we turn to the treasure of David for the exposition, let's go ahead and read verse 1 again. His foundation is in the holy mountains. And so Spurgeon exposits. His foundation is in the holy mountains. The psalm begins abruptly. The poet's heart was full, and it gained vent on of a sudden. God's foundation stands forever, on the holy mountains towers. Zion gates Jehovah favors, more than Jacob's 1,000 bowers. Sudden passion is evil, but bursts of holy joy are most precious. God has chosen to found his earthly temple upon the mountains. He might have selected other spots, but it was his pleasure to have his chosen abode upon Zion. His election made the mountain holy. They were by his determination ordained and set apart for the Lord's use. The foundation of the church, which is the mystical Jerusalem, is laid in the eternal, immutable, and invincible decree of Jehovah. He wills that the church shall be. He settles all arrangement for her calling, salvation, maintenance, and perfection, and all his attributes, like the mountains round about Jerusalem, lend their strength for her support. Not on the sand of carnal policy, nor in the morass of human kingdoms, has the Lord founded his church, but on his own power and Godhead, which are pledged for the establishment of his beloved church, which is to him the chief of all his works. What a theme for meditation is the founding of the church of God in the ancient covenant engagements of eternity. The abrupt character of this first verse indicates long consideration on the part of the writer, leading up to his bursting forth in wonder and adoration. Well might such a theme cause his heart to glow. Rome stands on her 7 hills, and has never lacked the poet's tongue to sing her glories. But more glorious far art thou, O Zion, among the eternal mountains of God. While pen can write or mouth can speak, thy praises shall never lie buried in inglorious silence. In verse 2 that reads, The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. The Lord loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. The gates are put for the city itself. The love of God is greatest to his own elect nation, descended from his servant Jacob. Yet the central seat of his worship is dearer still. No other supposable comparison could have so fully displayed the favor which Jehovah bore to Jerusalem. He loves Jacob best, and Zion better than the best. At this hour, the mystical teaching of these words is plain. God delights in the prayers and praises of Christian families and individuals, but he has a special eye to the assemblies of the faithful, and he has a special delight in their devotions in their church capacity. The great festivals, when the crowd surrounded the temple gates, were fair in the Lord's eyes, and even such is the general assembly and church of the firstborn, whose name are written in heaven. This should lead each separate believer to identify himself with the church of God. Where the Lord reveals his love the most, there should each believer most delight to be found. Our own dwellings are very dear to us, but we must not prefer them to the assemblies of the saints. We must say of the church, Here, my best friends, my kindred dwell. Here, God, my Savior reigns. And verse 3 that reads, Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God, Selah. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God. This is true of Jerusalem. Her history, which is the story of the nation of which she is the capital, is full of glorious incidents, and her use and end as the abode of the true God and of his worship was preeminently glorious. Glorious things are taught in the streets and seen in her temples. Glorious things are foretold of her, and she was the type of the most glorious things of all. This is yet more true of the church. She is founded in grace, but her pinnacles glow with glory. Men may glory in her without being braggarts. She has a luster about her bow, which none can rival. Whatever glorious things a saint may say of the church in their eulogies, they cannot exceed what prophets have foretold, what angels have sung, or what God himself has declared. Happy are the tongues which learn to occupy themselves with so excellent a subject. May they be found around our firesides, in our marketplaces, and in all the spots where men most congregate. Never let thy praises cease, O thou bride of Christ, thou fairest among the women, thou in whom the Lord himself hath placed his delight, calling thee that pearl of names, Hephzibah, for my delight is in her. Since the Lord has chosen thee, and deigns to dwell in thee, O thou city of beauty, none can rival thee. Thou art the eye of the world, the pearl, the queen of all the cities of the universe, the true, eternal city, the metropolitan, the mother of us all. The years to come shall unveil thy beauties to the astonished eyes of all peoples, and the day of thy splendor shall come to its sevenfold noon, Selah, with the prospect before him of a world converted and the most implacable foes transformed into friends. It was meet that the psalmist should pause. How could he sing the glories of newborn Tyre and Ethiopia, received with open arms into union with Zion, until he had taken breath and prepared both voice and heart for so divine a song? Yes, indeed. Trust you enjoyed the exposition on verses 1 to 3 of Psalms 87. Michael here declaring yet again, Jesus is Lord. Until next time, be